Ken's talking.
Larson.
What's his name? Just right underneath this.
Ken something. Stop Ken.
Okay. We're ready.
We're live.
Yes.
Thank you, Christine.
Thank you.
Welcome, everyone. This is the regular monthly board meeting for the Tioga County Industrial Development Agency. It is Wednesday, October 6th, 2021 at 4.
40's close enough.
39. This meeting is hereby called to order. Christine, could you do an attendance?
Jen Ceccarelli.
Yes.
Kevin Gillette.
Yes.
Martha Sabri. Here. John Ward.
Here.
Eric Knowles. Aaron Gowan.
Yes.
First up, go ahead.
Tracy Manell.
Chopped liver.
Oh, Tracy. Sorry. Of
I'm
course,
here.
Tracy Manell.
So sorry.
Sorry. You're under a lot of pressure, I understand.
So first privilege of the floor today is Pete DeWind, County Attorney, and Elaine Jardine, County Planner, to discuss the real property tax law 487 and its impacts on solar projects in the county.
Well, the short version of this is that there is a provision in the New York State Real Property Tax Law 487, which provides that for renewable energy projects, including solar, wind, some biomass projects, depending on size, that there's an automatic tax exemption that the property value and its delta between that and the amount by which it increases as assessed by the improvements for 15 years is automatically tax exempt. So we had received a letter requesting that the county provide within 60 days our demand for some kind of a pilot agreement. And this covers over into some territory, which it sounds to me like the IDA had previously covered a request that Sun East, and the full name Sun East Valley Solar LLC, be considered for a pilot for a project, I believe not far from over. So that's what's really kind of prompted the current discussion. This letter requires that within 60 days, the county provide some kind of a demand letter as to whether the county as a municipal entity will request some sort of a pilot agreement for the additional valuation that the property may incur because of the solar project. We would have to then work with the town and with the school district and see if they would also require or try to do their own independent pilot or payment in lieu of taxes agreement. But before that occurs, I think we're looking to see whether this board wanted to consider a prior request from Sun East regarding a pilot occurring through the IDA. If that were the case, that would obviate the need for the county to separately ask for a pilot agreement.
So the county's gonna ask who for the pilot agreement?
We would ask Sun East. So what this does is under the 47 of the RPTL, the entity that would otherwise be tax exempt has to ask the county, the school district, the town, if they will require some kind of a pilot, some kind of a contract, making up for the additional value. Otherwise, it's automatically exempt. So this would come from the county. This puts us on notice that the county itself has 60 days to tell them if we are in fact going to require some additional taxes on the additional development, the solar project in this case, for that parcel.
Bear in mind, the other taxing entities received similar letters, the town and school.
What's
They're
been their
saying-
response?
So the school wanted to wait and see what the conversation, how the conversation went. I did meet with the town this afternoon. And you may have an opportunity there, in the town, to lead a pilot. Can't say for sure, but in my conversation just this afternoon, it seems that there may be a possibility there for the town to actually lead a pilot. I explained that the IDA really is not interested, it already said no, that this goes against you know, typically what this board looks at involves pilot or a number of jobs and whether they're gonna do the project anyway. Made it very clear that IDA really is not interested in going forward with a pilot on this, and it seems that there may be an opportunity for the town to lead, because the county, from my committee meeting, county does not seem to be interested in leading a pilot either. So the town has done so on other solar projects, so there's precedent there that they have led this type of
This is the one in Montrose Turnpike, right?
So I only know a little enough information to get me in trouble, but I think they still have to pay taxes on the unused farmland,
Yeah.
not on one top of it. So whatever we're getting for that unused farmland would still come.
I would think all the acreage, correct?
Yeah, whatever that they
Just-
own,
just No new equipment or improvements.
Right.
correct.
So this is part of a larger discussion, kind of, as far as Tioga County as an entity goes, as far as this whole area. Some places, some counties run things entirely through the county. Some places run things entirely through the IDA if they're looking at whether a pilot is appropriate. Some municipalities keep 47 in place so that there is automatically a tax exemption unless there's a request by the municipality to enter into one separately. Some can opt out, meaning a local law is passed that says that we're not going to follow 487 anymore, in which case no pilots can be done through the municipal entity, through the town or the county in this case, but pilots can always still be done through the IDA. And some counties use that to try to drive intentionally all the pilot work regarding any renewable project directly through the IDA.
Whoever picks the ball up, do they negotiate on behalf of all the taxing authorities?
They don't have to, but they usually do.
Usually.
So
So
all these, there's a whole bunch of solar projects that have been done around here without a pilot that I know of. The one over on Route 96 across the valley from me, there was no pilot for that I know of.
In town of Tioga?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, there was. That's what this side is telling you. Almost all the projects that had some kind of pilot.
But it didn't come through the IDA.
correct.
That's right.
It came through the town. The town of Tioga has done a number, town of Owego has, the town of Nichols has.
And
Okay.
it paid through the county though, not the IDA.
Right.
So there's two things for discussion tonight. One is how we are going to handle the Sun East project specifically. And then the broader question, as more of these are coming, there are four or five identified on there that haven't been completed yet that we know are out there. Going forward, what position will the county and the IDA, you know, whatever other taxing entities are going to, what position you're going to take on pilots going forward?
So let me ask this question regarding it. If we don't take any action, they automatically get a 15-year deal.
Yes.
But do they still pay sales tax on the stuff they buy?
This is just for the property tax, so yes. Unless they're otherwise exempt, yes.
So a
Are
pilot
they
through-
otherwise exempt? Next question, that's gonna be a surprise at some point. Are they otherwise exempt for sales tax if we don't initiate or the county doesn't initiate?
If nobody
pilot?
does.
I know that if the pilot is initiated by another entity other than the IDA, there's no sales tax exemption included in that agreement. Sales tax exemption is by way of an IDA pilot only.
And it's 748.
48,000.
But do they buy the stuff here?
K of.
I'm not
sales tax.
certain of
They don't buy the
local
stuff here.
breakdown of
That's what they
goods.
always say. They're gonna buy the stuff here, but they lie to
I don't
you.
think they buy it.
Yeah. 748, 540.
No.
There's not materials here.
Yeah, I would, yeah.
How does the sales tax, which you county split, what's
So
the deal?
that's all local portion to the county. They're automatically exempt from their state portion. Regardless.
You just wait for the next shoe to drop. This is the part that starts to
irritate you.
Yeah, it's just, it's not a very comfortable situation when you keep hearing it on the back end. So this is the town, the county only.
Yes.
Yes.
So
Okay,
how did
and
the-
that's the county portion. So that would actually flow through the county coffers.
Yes.
Being not a politician, I just would like to know.
Right, I focused this table on the county because it was the county that was asking us to do the research and the
Right.
analysis.
So I guess that there's a possibility for the town to float a pilot and it would make them happy. And the county's gonna get the $748,000 or whatever they spend in the county in sales tax. That seems to be a,
So your
I'm
committee
okay.
was not interested in doing. Okay, that takes care of that.
It does. Have the pilots that have already been granted by the towns, I mean, are they uniform? Are they?
So again, if you look at the sheet there that Elaine has pulled together, you'll see the towns that have participated in a pilot in some manner. And you can see it's really across the board. So you have different megawatt facilities, different amounts per megawatt. Usually that's how you determine it, 4,000 a megawatt or whaver it may be. But it's really all over the place, as well as usually include an escalation in there. Escalation rates vary as
Very,
well.
so how, what methodology are they using? Are they just throwing darts?
They are talking with the solar developer and coming to an agreement. Now, we have tried to provide some guidance on this, but it's the town's business if they're going to be the ones taking on the pilot. And we have tried to provide a bit of guidance. But the towns are going to do what they're going to do. They're the ones that are going to answer your question, whatever somebody asked earlier, is, it would be the town's going to lead the pilot. They're going to be in charge of the negotiation and the terms.
There'd been some work statewide on trying to standardize how some of these assessments are done for improvements. And the obvious purpose of the law is to create more of an incentive for renewable energy projects to go forward, unless we decide that's not something countywide that we want to promote. There have been in many counties throughout New York, both through IDA rules and through local law, through the county or municipality, efforts to standardize how these are assessed based on the megawattage of the project. So some of them say, for example, it's $7,000 per megawatt with an escalator. And that way it's standard across the board. Some counties, Lewis County in particular, have even done encouragement that projects be sited on particular lands. So prime agricultural land isn't taken up, and they'll provide a little bit more of an incentive if you site it in a place that's preferable.
So remember a while back, we had a conversation actually on Sun East where it was presented, if this is deemed to be on prime agricultural land, that we look for more per megawatt. This particular project, it was determined to be through information provided by Soil and Water, that this was not prime ag land, it's medium, grade or whatever. Although Elaine has gathered a lot of very good information for what some other communities are doing and how they're approaching that. So she has, information she can share with us on that as well, if you're interested in hearing that. But there's room, and my recommendation would be to have a sit down county and IDA minimally, towns, if we can get them to participate, to have a talk about doing just what Pete is suggesting, standardizing in some way. So if anybody comes to Tioga County, a pretty good idea, if it's this, this, and this, you're gonna pay this. Or if if it's prime ag, you can pay this, if it's medium, this, or whatever it may be, whatever is standard you set up. But really, there are going to be more, and it would really save a lot more discussions if we could get to a point where we could agree on some sort of standard methodology for solar or energy.
That would be moving forward.
Yes, and moving forward, exactly. That could be done through the IDA. You would do it through an internal process, and it could be done if the county is going to be the entity through the county. And we can work towards that depending on where ultimately people want to go with this. So we have some options. We just need to know kind of a roadmap of where we need to go. The most immediate thing though was our clock is ticking on Sun East. So we had to figure whether we, the county, or the municipalities that were included, we're going to push something forward, or if this was something that we were going to look to do as a reconsideration through the IDA.
How much time is on the clock?
It's November 26th.
That's
60
our
days.
drop dead to have a deal date.
Yes, and just a reminder that this particular project's agency fee would be $247,394 to the IDA if we're the one to do it. So if it's going to happen regardless, at least in my opinion, we could work with that money, do some positive things.
I mean, the other thing that didn't get, I know that turned me off anyways, and I don't think it's come up yet, is standardizing that decommissioning plan. I mean, that's what aggravated me a little bit, is they gave that decommissioning plan that they gave to us in the middle of the useful life of the solar panels.
Well,
Which is
and the town
worthless.
of Nichols did one and they made them have a bond.
Sure. Well, but they gave us a decommissioning plan in the middle of the useful life of the panels and basically said, well, basically we can scrap these out for the cost of deconstruction. So we only have to give you a bond for 180 grand.
Mhm. So it was
I mean,
millions to tear it up, but they're saying it's scrap value.
No, I mean, that's-
That is the worst decommissioning plan that we've seen. The whole experience with this particular company was not good through the local.
Talking Sunny.
Yes.
So if
Sounds
nobody does
familiar.
anything, the 15-year grace period goes to them, but there's still no commissioning plan.
Decommissioning plan.
And they could walk away and leave that
In
stuff.
10 years, belly up.
Yes, so that's a great point. You do, through some of these tools, you do get a little more control over how the project is going to look. A little more control over what the end of the project will look like. Particularly if you want to ensure there's some kind of a bond or tail end, so regardless of ownership or bankruptcy, insolvency, you do have some fund that can work toward whatever decommissioning you need.
So the IDA doing it has its benefits, as Jane suggested, the fee associated with it, the ability to put more contingencies on it.
In this particular case, sorry, Leanne, Sun East is looking for 18 years and municipal pilot cannot go as long as 18 years. It can only go 15 years. Just another consideration.
They just want to have everything their way.
Another consideration while we're kicking this around, I don't want to hold folks up if they have to be places, but we're looking at, say, in this case, Sun East or Renovis, or used to be Renovis, we're already getting into the used to be's because in my opinion, a lot of this stuff is going to be consolidated. And it'd be like the guy at the end that nobody knows who holds his mortgage, so he doesn't have to pay it. So all these decommissioning plans and everything we're talking about here, how many times is it going to change hands? And who's going to keep track of all that mess? Because in 15 or 20 years, some of these things are getting decommissioned, or they're coming back here for another pilot to recommission it, pull everything down and start over again. Or 10 years from now, they realize that the lease is a better deal if we put new solar panels on it at twice as generate twice the power or whatever. I mean, technology is not going backwards. So I think there's a lot more to this, like you're talking about, you get the decommission plan and it's in the wrong place. And if you don't do something, you get no decommission plan and it leads.
Which is where we are with this one.
Yeah,
I got nothing.
in my opinion, leaves the town, the county, the state even in all kinds of precarious situations 15, 20 years from now. I personally am not gonna get too excited 15, 20 years from now, but somebody is. So I think there's a lot more thought than just saying, all right, we get an agency fee, we get our sales tax, all these things, but I think
So
to me,
why,
this is evolving into how do you protect the parties involved
right,
more than the dollars and cents of it? How do you protect the people that pay the taxes?
Right.
so why then did they come to the IDA to ask for a pilot if they could automatically get 15 years through the county?
Well, for one thing, they like the flavor of the $748,000 tax
Abatement.
abatement. right
Sales
off.
Sales
That-
It's gotta be
That's on
more
the
than
front
that.
side of 15 or 20 years. That's a pretty nice deal. It's on the
Also,
front side of it.
also, because you can require they pay 99%. And they've requested from us less than 50.
If you counter, I think, because you're saying you can counter their pilot.
For the, right, the county has the capacity to require their annual pilot payments to be 99% full taxation.
Yep, just no more than whatever the full assessment is, whatever that may be without standardized assessment tools. You can't really tell until it's up anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Is this a negotiation fee or can the county impose its wishes with respect to the amount of taxation?
Well, we could come up with, in a discussion with them, what we think the property is gonna ultimately be worth with whatever they're saying, its current appraised value, and then we could demand a pilot for up to that amount. On our behalf, the school district in the town, or just us.
If they don't agree to
Yeah,
the
what if they don't?
pilot terms that you proposed, does it by default revert to the no taxation?
No, they have to work it out before they can go forward.
Okay, so they're, I won't say it's your mercy, but you have control over
Negotiation.
Yes.
the
So we
negotiation
should counter.
at that point. They can't go back.
Right.
Okay.
So Marty, the second part of your question is why? Elaine alluded to it earlier. They're looking for 18 years and the normal course they can only do 15.
It's only 15.
So I'm sure their financing or probably is based on 18 years and that's why they need a little bit longer than the 15 years. So that's another reason that they.
And with that
Another reason
750.
700 and something on the front end is so nice.
better.
And the way they're going about this is doing nothing to make me feel like I should help them out. Just so you know. So they're just like, okay, you're gonna start suing everybody? All right, bring it, let's go.
So.
Yeah, and on top of that, Tracy doesn't
the
feel
letter,
good about
They
it.
are required to provide that letter.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's not like, okay, fine, here you go. They are required to provide that letter. But I don't know, Joe, maybe you can answer this, is the initial negotiations and potential agreement with the IDA was at 6,000 per megawatt for 18 years. If we were, and we said, and then the IDA said no. So now if the IDA were to reconsider, come back with another number, I mean, are we able to do that? Or are we now stuck with this, what we had said initially, the 6,000 per megawatt?
Oh, good question. I would say no, that we're not
Yeah,
We're not
turned-
stuck,
we
we're
voted
back
the
at
thing
square,
down.
we're at square one,
Mhm.
all right? And but I guess I'll turn it back to you. At what point are we out of the no taxation situation? We respond to their letter and or the county does, whomever does, and says, we're going to impose a pilot in this circumstance. Does that end the no taxation?
Yes.
There's no
Right, we
going
could say
back.
we're
I'm
not gonna
asking this question actually the second time, but I want to know what the point is, where the point of no return. And then we're just in a negotiation with them and if,
Till it's
But
done.
what if they turn down the pilot at that point? What if we can't come to an agreement and they say no, then we're back to the no taxation, correct?
Right, I don't think they can construct until we've worked out the pilot. I don't know that, I haven't seen that anybody's actually litigated that throughout the state about what kind of hold, but I would guess it would.
Yeah,
have
because
to-
everybody's like all gung ho to get these things built everywhere, and I'm not in favor of it, so that's my issue.
Right, so
It's
what
not
kind
gonna
of,
stop.
what we would do to stop them from building, and we might have to go to court for that. I do not know if anyone has had that actually come up. Most of the challenges have not been about that.
So 60 days, November 26th, you said, Christine?
Yes.
The pilot doesn't have to be in place by then. We just have to give them notice that we want to enter.
we're
in,
gonna
but-
impose one.
But we need to know what entity probably, or which entities would be doing that.
Somebody has to.
Right. Right,
I think all
hot
three should.
potato, and I don't blame you all, honestly.
If we're not gonna do this through the IDA, if we're gonna do it through the municipality, all three municipal entities should send them a letter back saying, we are gonna require something, put them on notice. And then we can work out the details of who's gonna be the front end negotiator and how it's gonna look, and ultimately who's gonna do the assessment, because we can't, like you were just saying, we can't charge more than the full assessed value. So even if we liquidated it at something like 7,000 per megawatt, you know, like, that can't exceed whatever the valuation is gonna be for the improvements. So there would be a lot of work we'd have to do, but you're not locked into that 60 days. The 60 days is just to tell them, we are gonna demand something. It will not be exempt.
That stops the clock.
That stops the clock. Okay.
And you
I
can
like
send that
that.
tomorrow.
Yeah,
So the school's waiting and the town's waiting. They reached out and they know, we got this letter, what do we do? I said, well, we're gonna have some conversations, we'll get back to you, but I can let them know that, and maybe we can provide a template letter even for them to send out and say,
Sure.
you know.
Hey, Aaron, how do you feel about this thing?
I don't know. I think probably we're better off if the IDA takes charge. I mean, and controls it. But I'm with you, Tracy, a little bit.
That's kind of scary.
Whew. I mean, you've got some negotiation strength, it sounds, you counter back and
Does anybody know what goes on with these things once they're done? I mean, they built this thing, then what? Because this one over here on, that I have to look at all day, every day, at Norbit, I believe is the one across the valley from me. I've heard all kinds of stories that it's not even online, or it wasn't online for a long time. Something happened to it, it didn't work. I don't know what's going on with it, but nobody knows. And I ask people and they're like, I don't know.
Wow.
Does anybody have a clue?
There was a backup with NICEAG on bringing them aboard, connecting them to the network.
I also heard that a whole bunch of the glass got broken this winter with that heavy snow.
Mhm.
So is it not functional anymore?
I can ask Doug Chersnowski, he's the code enforcement officer, he'll know. But I do believe that one is operational. But as far as the damage over the winter, I don't know about those details.
But
Nobody knows.
I do feel that there needs to be a plan in place to,
Nobody's checking on these
well, they're
things.
not that old, that's a problem.
the
Well,
state's
just been unbuilt
the
2
biggest
years.
issue is nobody knows what the value is gonna be in 20 to 30 years. Who knows that? Nobody has a crystal ball. Nobody knows what the bond amount should be. You know, but it is in the name of the municipality. So regardless of who owns it and the transactions, that bond should be is in the name of the municipality, and the municipality holds it. But you still have no idea if that equipment is going to devalue, like the recycling market tumbled. You know, nobody knows that. And you know, they're saying that these panels are gonna be, you know, like gold, even when they're at the time, the developers are, even at the time of decommissioning, and that, you know, they should be able to sell them or whatever, the town, and it's the, and
They
you know,
should be.
nobody's buying that.
nobody's gonna
There's so
decommission these
much
things when they're still
unknowns.
functioning.
Right.
I wanna know what, you know, what's the cost when they're at the end of their useful life? Which is probably the cost that they gave us, less their recycle value that no longer exists. And you need a bond of something in the 7 figures.
And not only do you need the bond, but you need, you know, you need evidence that that bond continues for the,
Correct.
for the life.
Yes.
And
Correct.
That's monitored.
Right.
And Kevin brought up the point that, you know, this Renovus, they're not Renovus anymore.
They're
Now
not?
there's somebody else.
They
They're
are.
Delaware River.
Yep.
Okay, so, and 2 years from now, is Norbit gonna buy them? So now it's not them anymore, and it just keeps changing and changing, so that at the end of 20 years, there's been 30 different owners, then what? Nobody, bond, what are you talking about? We don't have a bond. That's what's gonna happen.
And like you said, there's gotta be some level of monitoring on there and some level of penalty. I mean,
Well, along with it, if you did a pilot, you'd have to get a renewal of the bond every year.
every year, right?
I mean, we have to bond things, anybody in business bonds things, people bond roads when they
Right.
use them with heavy equipment. This is a
Right,
yearly occurrence.
right.
for-
So there's an
all
annual
businesses.
check and you either meet the check or there's gotta be some level of bound.
Right.
I can tell you the towns don't have this capacity. If this discussion you're having right now, they would have no idea how to put this in a
Right.
pilot agreement. The county doesn't know, you know, I mean, the
Joe knows.
legislators, you know. That's why.
This is within your purview.
So I guess.
I might reconsider the gold statement.
So to bring this back around, then are we in agreement that we'll coordinate with the town, county and school to send out the letters to say that a pilot will be required? And then we'll put together a meeting to figure out who and under what terms?
I like that plan.
Now, somebody put together the full value.
Yep.
That was real property?
Correct. And they used a system where they input all the company's details of the solar project and it provided them.
Believe the state is going to start requiring some kind of DCF, and I can't remember what that acronym is now. As of October 15th, they are requiring a uniform assessment
Good.
population on all these throughout New York State. So, you know, the variability won't be there anymore, which is a really good thing for, you know, also setting up a plan, a step up, so step down scale, whatever you want to do.
Well, that's gonna be based on the discounted cash flow more than likely over the life of the, that's way beyond anybody at this table. doing
Right,
that.
right, but at least you'll know that that assessment value that was just estimated by our real property director.
Right.
We don't, that's a stat.
Yeah,
you know,
discounted
and
cash
yeah,
flows
now
are
we'll know what
Spreadsheets
the-
this
yeah,
long.
We're
We're
now
not
we'll know
gonna be
what the
doing that.
balance are though.
Right.
Yeah.
But the solar companies have the ability or know how to.
They aren't gonna tell us anything.
Well, that's just it. I mean, you need to have somebody at the, at the real property level, whether it be the state or the county, that knows how to make sure that they're not getting.
Right.
One of the
That's
first
true.
ones we did, and it might have been Renovus, gave us that analysis, the discounted cash flow analysis.
Did they-
They did.
And then they sold it.
Yeah, since, because they don't
Yep.
want to admit there's a discounted cash.
But he
flow,
still
you
owns-
know?
There's
Still
an
has
awful
the
lot
other
of
two.
these.
Well, that's how they know they're making money. I mean,
Right.
And they
Well,
say,
they build them, you got builders, you have designers, you have builders.
and they
you
say
have
that they're
people
gonna
behind
have,
the curtain that are doing the buying and selling the right things after the fact. None of this is the end. All this is the beginning.
These are the salesmen.
The builder, the guy that's putting this together is making money building it. The people that are designing are making money designing them. The electrical workers unions are getting paid to, prevailing wage to build them, every one of these, by the way.
mhm.
and they always say that they're gonna have local people do it, and I don't think
Well,
that.
again, I
No,
don't
most of
hear
them
you.
stay over in Virgil in the hotel over there
Right.
and build these things all over. I know this.
Yes,
So,
they,
but
from Tioga
this is
County.
what we're doing. We're building, we're designing, we're building, we're figuring out how to get the pilots and all the tax abatements and all these things in place, because that helps on the financing and the build and the design. Everybody's making money over here. The actual cash flow as far as electric, that thing's, you can have a lot of pages before you see anything in black. But then these things will be sold and sold and sold, and you do it by the efficiency of, you got one lawyer and one accountant and one guy that's helping at the bank, and you don't have all these entities fighting over crumbs. That's what's happening here. Now, I can't tell you all the magic, but that's what's happening. So I tend to agree with Aaron's statement that I'm starting to think the control part is what we have going for us. And I think all of us have more information today than we certainly did when we sat down.
Right, Agreed.
And I think we ought to have a little more discussion about it before we kick the
We
ball
will.
down the road any.
Mhm.
I
Any further
agree. I think if
questions?
At the town level, at the county level, we're gonna run into problems with the control and
Oh, absolutely.
getting together that.
We've already run into a lot of, some of them that fell through the cracks, and now, even though, thank God, they're small ones, but, they're not paying any
Right.
tax.
But you can't expect
Yeah.
Yeah,
they just
everybody
don't
to
have
be
the
a
capacity.
lawyer, know what whatever
Yeah,
487 is.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a new one on me, but I'm in the lumber business. I'm not in the legal business and or the, how do I get away from paying taxes business.
we have any
So-
further questions for Peter or Elaine this evening?
No, but I thank you both for your,
Thank you very much for
Time.
coming. We really
Yeah, thanks for
appreciate
having
it.
us.
been
Appreciate
enlightening,
We'll talk about the letter.
Very enlightening.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
been enlightening.
Thank you
that's
so
for sure.
much.
If
Thank
you have
you.
any more
I'll be in touch.
questions, you
All right.
think you can help, we'll
This is my
let Leanne or Christine know, and we'll do what we can.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Johnson, November, then James.
Yeah, till November.
So
Okay,
I'm
what's next?
thinking, these people wanted us to do something, okay. we're
Not
good
right
to go.
now.
We're gonna do something.
You
We'll
said,
fix them.
you said it.
There's
now we
gonna
know.
be a
99%,
decommissioning plan or they're not
99%
building
of the-
nothing.
Yep, just put it to the highest you can put it legally and.
Larson Design Group, privilege of the floor.
Next up, thank you both for your patience.
I'm not sure if Jason made it in. He sent me a message that he was stuck in the waiting room. So I don't know
I
if he-
finally,
Yeah, I'm on.
Okay.
So we are up to talk about a wind energy project.
Great.
So they already know there's money there.
All right, go. What's behind the curtain, Jason?
Just kidding, just kidding. I'm gonna let Ken Stockert talk about the wetland delineations and answer any questions that you folks have. Take it away,
Okay.
Ken.
Yep. We completed delineation on the two parcels, totaling about 60 acres, plus or minus. We did identify two small wetlands on the one parcel. One wetland is located on the northern end of the parcel, very northern end. It's less than 1/10 of an acre of wetland. The second wetland is on the very south end of the parcel and is just over 1/10 of an acre. I think it's 0.11 acres of wetlands. Both very small. Don't anticipate any significant issues from a permitting perspective. Should not be state regulated. It should qualify for a Corps of Engineers nationwide permit. Depending on the extent of the impacts, if we have to permit complete impact to both of those wetlands, you would be over the threshold of requiring mitigation. So we would have to look at some type of compensatory mitigation to replace those lost impacts. But don't anticipate it to be a significant process to get through that, depending on where you're at from a design standpoint. Obviously any wetlands that can be avoided reduces the permitting and mitigation efforts for those. So really fairly straightforward. I think at this point, open it up for any specific questions you all have.
And do you have a map of the properties
Thank
that
you.
this group could see?
Sure.
here, let me make you a co-host.
There it is.
Thank you for asking me. My files won't
Doesn't
work
really help,
today.
though.
So this is the balance of the IDA east side property and the Rizzuto property.
And this is Aaron. How close was the one
Thinking
on the
about
south end to the drive going into that property?
we decide what we're
No, that's what we did. Wetland.
Let me see if I can
Yeah.
pull up the map.
No, they gave us permission.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I can see where you got it. So the driveway, that line, is that just a four-wheel path or is that where it crosses the road? I mean, it comes out of the road.
Now, I believe, now I wasn't on site, so I
So you
can't,
don't know.
Yeah, tell you absolutely for sure, but this looks more like, this area here looks more like the main access, coming into
That's
the,
not, yeah, that's not what I remember when I was up there, but that looks to me like a four-wheeler. People are coming across the road and just driving around the property. But the access, there's an access point on Strong Road there. And I don't remember exactly where it was. I would say it's
Right there.
right there.
Yep.
So it really probably won't affect us.
it does look like there's something right there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the wetlands are fairly well out of the way, like I said, one at each end.
Pretty small too.
Yeah, this one was just over 1/10 of an acre. This one is just under 1/10 of an acre.
And there's nothing on the Rizzuto property. The adjacent property, there were none identified on the adjacent property.
No, there was nothing, no resources at all on the adjacent property. The total was just those two wetlands on that one property.
Which is amazing. Christine and I walked that property and it was pretty wet.
Yeah, agreed.
Well, everything's wet now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it depends on when you're there.
Yeah.
So that darks on the adjacent property, that dark streak is a gully or?
No, it's,
No, that's actually a pine stand.
yeah,
Okay.
it's red pine.
Is that good?
No, not worth much.
The snow that.
Ask Kevin.
Oh, I know, but you answered before he did. He just shook his head.
It's not worth much.
Not bad if you want to build a cabin out of it.
Really big legs.
Any other questions, folks?
Thank you.
No, so we just stay out of that wetlands and we're fine, which looks like it shouldn't be too hard to do.
Right.
Yeah, with the location of them, I would anticipate that, you should be able to do some design work to stay out of them, and then you have no issues with that at all.
Have a dog go up there and lay in, it'll be over.
And this, we were looking for this as housing, right? This is what we're looking at here. And
this is.
what do you have, how big a parcel do you have to have by town regulations now?
Yeah, we'd have to search that. I'm not sure what it is right off. We'd have to go back and look at it.
Any of you
What the lot
guys
size
at
is.
Larson know what that number is? How many acres there is in a parcel up there in order to section that off into housing parcels?
I can't remember what the minimum is. I want to say it was an acre and a half. But that was a while ago, and I'm not familiar with what if there's anything current. Thought it was an acre and a half when we did the one up West Beach.
Town of Tioga is 1 acre, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah, so
A lot of these.
I don't know
what
what
the
acres
Yeah, we'd have to look at that.
Town of Wheel likes to do things different, so who knows?
Thank you.
Nichols is 2 acres.
So what else do we need on that one?
All we need,
So we good on the
that was just,
wetland?
yeah.
I think we're good on the wet. I'm good on the
We're
wetland.
going to talk about it later.
Okay, Ken, thank you so much for going over the wetland report with us.
Not a problem. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, bring back that solar or that wind thing anytime.
Yeah. We'd be interested in that.
Sticking on top of that hill.
I don't know. I'm headed to the town of Prattsburg, and not to talk about wind, but they are not fans of the wind. It's a fight every single meeting out there. So I guess it's.
We all had
I don't
little beanies with propellers on them. We'd all have plenty of wind.
Before, I'll just give a real quick update on the energy study over at Lounsbury. We met Ralph Fry, my electrical engineer, and I met with Leanne and Christine earlier this week. Got some information from the county. We've actually got a meeting set up with Crown Court to understand some of their system over there. And so things are progressing right along, and hopefully we'll have a more exclusive update next month.
Great.
All right.
Okay.
Thank
Thank
you.
Yep.
Okay.
Thanks, guys.
Have a wonderful evening.
Thanks.
You too. Thanks for your patience.
Moving on with the agenda, folks. Hopefully everybody's had time to look at the minutes. I'm seeking a motion to approve the September regular meeting minutes and the loan committee meeting minutes. Is that good?
Second.
All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Moving on to the financials. Aaron, you have any comments, or John?
No, everything looked good to me. I mean, I had a
That's
couple
great.
questions for Christine and she answered them.
Yep. Same with me.
Seeking a motion to acknowledge the financials, please.
So move.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Thanks so much. Before moving on, I have an invoice to pay Aquasor for their portion of the water tank construction. Our checking account balance, after I would make that payment, would be 222,000 in the negative. So I'm seeking permission to
Thanks.
Uh-oh, we don't have any money.
transfer funds from the ICS account, which is at roughly it's 1,564,000 and change, or seeking other thoughts as to whether we want to cash in a capital improvement CD or something more outside of our normal procedure, if we're not wanting to transfer it from the ICS. Aaron, thoughts?
I would pull it out of the ICF. And we're not making any money in it anyways, to speak of.
Right.
That's a great recommendation, Christine.
So how much do we want to take out? We have a little over 600,000 remaining for Owego Gardens 2 project that we know of in regular payments. Do you want to transfer a lot now, or for me to come back? I guess I'm saying, do you want to transfer 300,000 or 600,000 right now, please?
Let's transfer the 300.
Okay.
You can pull it. I mean, we don't have a number of times we can transfer money, do we?
Not anymore. They lifted ICS restrictions.
Okay, then just transfer the 300 to get you by.
Okay, thank you.
Leanne Tinney.
Did we need a motion on that transfer, or are we good with just doing it, Joe? Just
So
good with doing
why not do it?
I make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Just to be safe.
Yeah, motions all around.
So we just sit there and go, Aaron said.
Aaron said it's okay.
Prompted, don't you remember?
Aaron, we're
you
gonna
all.
run that over. Can you co-sign that, please?
Put it in my bank account.
Okay, so Christina's provided you with a little spreadsheet. Did you send it electronically, or? do we
I
have
handed it out.
Just kind of we've been having conversations around activities within the village as we go, and it kind of got me to thinking about, what sort of monies have been flowing into the village. Yep. So we did a little analysis of monies that Team Tioga had played a part in obtaining either in the name of or on behalf of the village of Owego or business entities within the village. Just kind of a little exercise to get a sense for what the impact has been to the village. There's still some numbers missing. We haven't filled in the blank yet, the yellow ones, so they haven't gathered those numbers yet, but this gives you a sense over the last 5 years. Team Tioga has impacted monies into the village of Owego in excess of $73 million.
Awesome.
So
You're gonna send this to the village trustees so they can read it?
I haven't yet, but I can.
I would love to see that, yeah.
And kind of, I want to get by our project.
I know.
Right.
Pending right now, but it just,
We'll think of a way to approach that.
Yeah, we need
How's
to think
that?
about that.
How we
But I
do
just
that?
wanted y'all to have a sense of, these are real monies. These are not, this is not, oh, spin off people spending money in, you know, the Wevo Kitchen and the Parkview. These are actual money,
Right.
5.5 million directly to the village.
Oh, did I leave that on your counter, Rusty?
So
Are,
Yeah,
are
this is-
private DRI projects getting funded now at this
they're
point?
beginning to,
Mhm.
They're
yes.
beginning to.
And the governor is in support and would like to do smaller projects for smaller
Oh,
communities.
that would be wonderful.
That's something we picked up.
Restore New York.
We
Bring
like
that back.
that.
Okay, so that was just an FYI. Then I wanted to, I've been given brief reports the last couple of times. I would like to go into a little more detail about what's going on with EDMP. I'll be quick. Just so you know, the Tioga County Chamber of Commerce is pleased to announce that they have hired a new president and a CEO. Her name is Sabrina Enriquez, and she will be starting in her position on October 12th. Education Workforce Coordinator, Steering Committee, that's another discussion. We'll come back to that. Greater Valley Chamber of Commerce annual dinner I attended, and I have a nice proclamation here from the senator. I was hoping to be able to present to Eric as Business Person of the Year, but he's not here tonight, so I'll get that to him. An Assemblyman friend was in attendance at that event, which was very nice to have the Assemblyman there. I got to sit with him and chat with him over dinner, so that was really nice. Regional Council, Christine attended that as well, so that was.
It was beautiful. Thank you. for
Regional
sending me.
Council, Executive Committees has met and done the CFA scoring for this year. There were 98 projects to be considered. Those announcements will come in probably December. We are looking at this year's round of DRI. There is a $20 million pot available per region. In the past, it's been 10 million. So there's 20 million per region. So that will allow the Southern Tier region to award 2 of the 3 applications that have been made
For DRI,
for DRI.
Wow.
who
Yep.
applied?
So it's City of Ithaca, Endicott, and Norwich. Of all three.
Endicott's got it.
So 2 of them will be awarded.
Probably
Wow.
Tompkins.
So I've just read through those this afternoon, and
When are they gonna make decisions on that?
it'll probably be December.
December?
Yeah, I'm guessing. It'll probably be before the end of the year. I don't imagine it'll be in the same manner as the previous governor did it, but.
No, it won't.
So, yeah. So
I
the
had a
regional
meeting
council is
with her.
voting on them October 13th.
Won't be a lot of touching in this.
And then it goes off to the state and they do whatever it is they do, and then they'll make an announcement after that.
Sorry. Sorry.
It's okay.
Please continue, Lee.
So on upstate shredding, I'm happy to say on the new signage, thank you again, IDA board, for contributing toward that effort. So upstate is paying for half of that, and then BNS is paying for part of it, and IDA for part of it, 20 and 30% on those. So thank you for that, and that process has started for a new sign out there at Corporate Drive. Mr. Weitzman is, and I can talk about this because there was an article about it, he had contacted us about a new project for cryptocurrency mining project. He's looking to locate in Tioga County. So we're working with them and NICEAG. This is a big power drain type project. So working with NICEAG to see, you know, if or where in the county that might be able to be located. So more to come on that. DRI projects are moving along. Coburn Library is actually completed, and they had their ribbon cutting and just waiting for the final payment from the state on that one. The other projects continue to move forward, although there have been identified 2 or 3, how many? 3 that have been turning back the funds. So 3 of the projects that we thought initially are not going to go forward for any, a number of reasons. So we'll have those monies back to redistribute out to other projects.
Do you ever update the committee?
The local planning.
Yeah.
committee.
You ever like
We have not so
Oh,
far.
I just got an evil look. I'm sorry.
No.
Can you tell me? I'm sorry, Leah.
Yes, we will. Tensions are a little high with relationships within the village right now. So
Yeah.
we're tiptoeing at this point. So, but I'm happy to give, have Brittany give a summary on that. So, yeah. that'd be cool. There's a whole other story.
Don't
Um,
go there.
New York Main Street in Owego is ongoing. Megan has been taking the lead on that with the environmentals, and she's working through those, as well as the Main Street project in Village of Candor. She's been managing that one as well. So those are moving forward. Weagle Gardens 2, you're going to talk about that later?
Sure.
Yes. On the Temple and Liberty Street project, we're in the process of local approvals. The 239 County 239 review has been completed and recommended for approval. It's gone to the Village Planning Board. That was last week, but after many hours, decided to close the public hearing and delay any decisions until the end of this month, the 26th. The Planning Board will reconvene and look at the approvals on that, and then that would go to the ZBA hopefully on the 27th. And tenant relocations are complete except for one. So Brittany's been doing a really great job on that. And the balance of the properties to be purchased have been completed. Thank you, Joe, for your work on that. Those have been wrapped up, and so now those properties are officially in the name of the land bank at this point. I would ask that once we get by the local approval process, there are still challenges around this project in that Ithaca Neighborhood Housing Services did not receive one of the sources of funding that they were looking at, OPWDD money. That was 1.3 million that they were not awarded. However, they will apply again in the next round. This is what's happening. There are a lot of requests out there. Not everything can be funded. So they've been advised to apply again. If or when they're approved for that, they will still have roughly a $750,000 gap in their funding. So we are trying to help them fill that gap. For them to make the application again for the 1.3 million, it's going to cost them about another 30,000 to do that. So I'm asking this board if you would consider the agency fee associated with the pilot. I know you said we need to stick to it. That fee was $138,073. But I'm here to ask if this board would consider reducing that by 30,000 so that the fee would be 108,073 instead of 138. That 30,000 they can put in the overall budget and help them to make that application again to for the funding for the OPWDD part of the package.
I think to help them move forward, we should definitely consider that.
Did they lose the money for the first application? Or-
They start again. I have a memo in here on it.
So not only do they not get awarded, they lose their
We
application
had to
fee.
go again.
With all the money that's out there from the federal government, it's amazing that they're charging a fee.
So I have a memo on that. I'm not finding it right now. I thought I brought it with me. Where they broke it down for me and what exactly
Right.
it is. Here it is. So they say, to date, we have spent a little over 90,000. To the answer the questions outlined above, I would estimate the cost would cost another 15,000 if we decided to then submit an application to HCR and reapply to OPWDD. If this would cost approximately 30,000. Is that right?
Is that a fee or is that inclusive of labor costs or?
That's their,
Oh,
you're talking.
I don't know
Misunderstood.
what the breakdown is on that, John. I think they're just saying they're short, they're gonna be short money to be able to do that.
So what if we say yes and then they apply again and get turned down? How long do they keep applying? 10 years from now, they're still applying or what?
I don't know.
But it's not really costing us anything. We're just not getting as much.
Correct.
Correct.
That's.
So it's
the approach I
costing us
thought.
in the long run, but until they do something, it didn't cost us anything.
Right.
It does cost you something because if we get an application fee and approve a pilot and the whole thing, we get that, right? And what
Yeah.
happens if we go through that entire process and they lose a piece of their funding?
We don't get the agency fee until they enter the pilot agreement, which they're not ready to do yet until they get their funding approved.
So we're not spending any money out of pocket. We're just not gonna get as much money when it's time for it to give us something.
What are you shaking your head yes about? The part where we're not spending the cash or we're giving a little break on the agency fee, so we're really not getting it?
Both.
Well, no, one means
You
it
said
reaches
it
in your
different.
pocket and the other one means
We're
you
not
just
spending any
don't
money
get it.
until they come to
It's-
the table.
It's the second one. Right?
Right.
Yes.
Aaron, how do you feel?
I'm fine with doing that. I don't have a problem with doing that.
Well, that kind
Right.
of takes all the wind out of my sail.
You're kind of congenial today.
Were you practicing
It
that?
just, it makes me so mad that the village is giving us so much trouble on this. It's just,
Right.
let's help this.
I'm 100% with you in that camp after all the thought process I've had on this particular project. It makes perfect sense.
Oh my God, drive down that street.
But it makes perfect sense for housing within a walkable distance to all the places that would like the revenue that are
Right.
going to come to these places.
Right.
Right.
It's a great location.
I think we got a yes.
Yeah, I'm okay with it.
I think we got a yes.
Motion approving reduction in
I'll make that motion.
agency fee.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. All in
Thank you.
favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Megan, you got that?
That's great.
Right, thank you. Just a little reminder that there are American Relief Program Act funds that the county is responsible for distributing. And just as an FYI, our department has made a request specifically for 500,000 for use with the land bank, 750,000 through a broadband project. We can talk about it if you want. Tourism for 100,000 and some ortho imaging mapping for 200,000. We also asked for 300,000 for implementation of a countywide code enforcement plan. That has been nixed, so that is out of the mix. But the county legislature is now in the process of reviewing the applications and making some determinations on those requests that have been made.
The nightmare is growing.
Really.
So a few strings
And
attached to
everybody
that.
thinks that they should get a piece of that.
Yeah.
Well, I don't care what everybody else says, but we need this.
Well, you're gonna have to lobby for the land bank, because I got a little pushback from other legislators today.
Okay.
So you gotta be there tomorrow.
Yep. Okay, so getting back to the workforce pipeline development study and the education workforce coordinator. As you may recall, the initial plan for this hire of this education workforce coordinator was to be as a contract employee of the IDA. And that we have $100,000 a year by way of Hooker Foundation grant monies to fund this person for 3 years. And that in that 3-year period, this person would be required to secure funding to continue to move that position forward. So the committee put the job posting out there, got a bunch of responses, narrowed it down to 5 people who might be appropriate, set up interviews before we could, 4 people. Before we could actually get the interviews done, 2 of the people took other jobs. So we interviewed 2 for the position. One of them was just stellar and outstanding. And so the short story is that he's currently part of the New York State retirement system. And by being a contract employee, he would lose that. And he was basically not willing to give that up, which is understandable. We tried every avenue we could think of to make that work, and we couldn't. So it's caused the steering committee to want to regroup and say, maybe we should rethink this with this project, with this position being no benefits associated with it. You know, we're thinking that we're probably not getting all the applicants that might if we were able to offer a little bit more. So I'm putting two options out there, and I presented the first option to my EDMP committee yesterday. That would be to make this position county position and paid still by way of the grant, but that they would be a county person, receive county benefits, be part of the state retirement system, or an employee of the IDA, which I would bring to you all tonight, an employee of the IDA, which would again allow for benefits, but not part of the state retirement system. The pros to the county taking that role is that they could be part of the retirement. Pros to the IDA taking that role would be that we would have a little more leeway in what we could actually offer for that salary range. If it goes through the county, there is a prescribed range, I think it's between 43 and 53,000, that we would be limited to due to, you know, Bethany's reviewed it and said, if we're going to take it through the county, here's where you would be. If we were to do it through the IDA, we'd have more leeway on what we were able actually to offer in the way of that salary range. So the steering committee is meeting on Thursday. Met with the county EDMP committee yesterday. They were overwhelmingly in support of taking the position through the county if we should choose to go that way. But I would like to be able to say we could do either or if the IDA is agreeable to the possibility of making this position W-2 employee of the IDA, so that the steering committee can kind of weigh those two options and figure out what way we'd like to try and go forward, and then put it out there again for you know, post it and see what we get if we change the benefits associated with the position.
So I have an issue with this, I think, because how this is created in the resolution creates situations for the county that don't belong to the IDA. It says 3 years, but because they become a county employee, doesn't really say there's a drop dead date. So what do you do when you run out of money? How do we let this person go?
Right.
The other thing
And who's
is,
going to take a job that's got a 3-year term on it?
but I know there's ways to do that, but the other one I'm struggling with is this person works remotely. So we pass this resolution, I'm talking to the legislature. Then we're setting a precedent that people can work remotely. Because one means, for the,
I do not like that.
and there was one more that I had a concern about,
But
but
if you made it a county employee,
there's nobody to have the historical knowledge that knows that this job was a creative solution to a need that the IDA had. No one will remember
I don't think it's
that it wasn't always there. No, I'm just talking about historical knowledge,
Right.
because people leave.
Yep.
Leanne's gonna retire. People are gonna retire.
Brittany
Is
will
that,
know.
where did we get that job from?
It's not- Brittany will still be
This
here.
is, it's too bad, but you know, people walk out of here and nobody remembers.
You know, those are really good points.
It happens
But-
all the
isn't
time.
it in the minutes?
Yeah, but nobody knows to look in the minutes.
You
Kevin.
mean to tell me our government keeps growing because we're not smart enough to read the book?
In some cases, that's true. Anyway, but that's just me talking out loud, and I
This is
wasn't in
just
a
a
meeting.
small sample of exactly what you just said.
Oh, anyway, it just gotta, you know, if the legislature votes it in, fine. But there's gonna be repercussions with that remote policy, but you also said you could find a hole for
But
them.
who said that they have to be remote?
Well, that was our initial intention. I did mention to Marty that there is an empty desk up outside of Christine's office where Reap used to sit, where we could set somebody up in there if the county was agreeable to allowing that space to be used.
How often do they have to be in the building before they're not considered remote? And a lot of people work on the road. There's all kind of county employees that are on the road all day.
Yeah, that's, it's a whole other thing. It's a thing, Kevin. Because we're working on a remote policy. We've been working on a remote policy and we're getting pushback for the remote policy from the legislator. So you're gonna say, okay, you're gonna let this person work remotely. It's just complicated.
I always
Yeah.
prefer to give the person some space here, but that was my first choice.
I think we would have the ability to do that. I mean, it was the original intent, figuring that this person is gonna be on the road a lot. This
Right.
is your suggestion. They're doing it, if they're doing it right, they're
Right.
gonna be out and. meeting
Right,
with
and that's
people
different than working remote.
Sure.
That's a whole different ballgame.
Well, why don't you just go tomorrow and see what happens? And if it, the legislature says yes, then you still have two options.
Well, IDA has to say yes for me to have two options.
Oh, yeah, I forgot that. But wasn't that the original option though?
No, the original option
That's
was IDA is a contract employee. So not an employee of the IDA.
So
but-
we're managing it to a certain
Oh.
degree, but this is not a requirement that we have.
And so you know, the funding source, so Hooker and Mark is more in favor of this being through the IDA than through the county.
I really am too.
Except that person's not gonna be in the retirement system.
Correct.
Right.
So if and here's a
And
reason.
who's gonna
here's the thought
manage that
behind-
person?
Here's the thought
Brittany
behind that.
Woodburn.
Brittany will.
Potential candidates could possibly be teachers or retired teachers who are already in the New York, we already know this, already in the state retirement system. So to entice them away,
Potentially.
Right.
I think it's still going to limit our pool of candidates in the long run.
I don't know.
I think we're going to have to rehash this another time.
I just
as
had
we
to
go
worry
through
out
this
loud,
exercise.
so I share my worry.
People want benefits. They want retirement. They want their benefits.
Well, hell yeah. It costs a ton of money though.
No kidding. It does.
I have those numbers.
Yeah, it's like whatever their salary is, it's like 75 to 80%.
So here it is, on a $53,000 salary, the estimated total fringe, including participating in the retirement system,
County
is $33,422. On $53,000 salary.
Is that health insurance?
75%.
Yeah.
Incredible. Missed that.
No wonder it hurts so bad. Yeah. And we already got 400 employees. What's one more? We write a check to the state for $2 million every year for retirement. Yeah. Unbelievable.
So you're looking for a vote or just?
I need to know whether this is an option that I can have Brittany share with the steering committee on Thursday.
What's the range
It's in
option you're
tomorrow.
talking about as an IDA?
Say it again.
So what's the range you're talking about if the IDA is the
So
keeper of the key?
it's good. So fringe is going to be close to this. It's going to be a little bit less because of the
No retirement.
retirement piece of it, but it's going to be, say, 30,000 anyway.
The health insurance.
Right.
Or as much less than the
So-
county, so.
So when you were figuring out how much you pay them, you were just thinking people were gonna come and they wouldn't need benefits.
Well, we were open-minded about it.
Okay.
I mean, it did not work out though.
And the grant was how much?
100 a year.
We were offering up to 75 as a starting salary. So yeah, we got a ton of candidates. People looked at that salary. We had more candidates than we knew what to do with.
Only a handful that were actually qualified.
Yeah, that's true.
So we could go to 65. If we. would go.
Well, if we say yes tonight, then we won't get any say about what the salary is gonna be. You guys will figure it out without us.
Well, they know they
but
have
it's-
so much to work with.
Right, we have X,
Mhm.
and so we'll figure out how we're gonna disperse that.
So why don't you see what the legislature wants to do?
Well, but she wants to know if she's got
So
it.
she's got
And then we have a
second option.
backup plan,
Mhm.
the IDA's backup plan. I
How
prefer
about you
to go
send
through
us
the
an
county.
email
first.
after you get done with the legislature,
right.
and then we'll have it figured out.
So.
Or do you already have somebody in mind,
No.
and is this behind the curtain stuff?
No.
'Cause sometimes I gotta know.
We have to start from
Yeah.
scratch at
Yeah.
this point.
Nope,
Got a lot of curtains going
but
on.
we
There's a lot of
just,
stuff.
but we need to. This would help us define when we put it back out there, what range we're talking about. Because it's gonna be different if it's county or if it's IDA. We'll be able to offer more in the way of salary if it's IDA.
You have to get through the county thing first, right, to know
No.
that that's actually an option, or do we already know it is an option?
No, we don't. So EDP committee
5
supported it.
votes.
But there apparently are other legislators who don't support it, so. I
There's
don't
only
know how
4
that'll go.
legislators that are on the EDMP
Right,
committee.
you need 5 for a
You
vote.
need,
I mean, would this board consider making this position an IDA position? Would you consider that? Aaron?
Yes, I don't have a problem with that. I just don't want to be involved with the state retirement system. We went through this before and I don't want to go back there again.
I've heard.
And you like to keep
I
the
don't know.
county and the
I don't know that
IDA
background.
separate, right, as much as you can?
That's
Is that-
right.
Is that your, I think I heard you say that
I
before.
think I have too, several times.
so you said you would support this position, but you're not interested, just not, as long as it's not a retirement situation.
State retirement.
Right. I mean, if we have to pay more to get a person of this caliber for 3 years, then we can do that. But we're not signing up for the state retirement. in the
Okay.
IDA.
Right.
I guess I'm kind of in the same boat there.
I mean, you guys can research it if you want, but we've been there.
Right. I agree.
Down this road before.
Yep.
Leanne took us down this road at one point, didn't you,
Mm.
Leanne?
I think I did, maybe even a couple times.
All right. So what are you looking for?
I need to know if this board would be open to making this position a W-2 employee of the IDA as an option.
I think we would, as long as Brittany manages the person.
With the total employment package being what? What's the X? What's,
It's $100,000 a year.
$100,000
total that they got
cap
to
per
spend.
year.
Which includes benefits.
okay,
And then
offset by 30 grand and a grant.
Right. So it's paid for.
All right, I'll step in the chilly water.
All right.
Just make sure you read the minutes in 3 years.
And review them.
And I hope.
And
I'm here
remember
in 3
them.
years.
to look for them.
Don't even.
There you go. See?
So do we have consensus that
We
this
do.
is an option?
Yes,
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
you're just buttering.
For 3 years.
For 3 years. It doesn't.
That's what John said.
And then none of us are sitting at
That's
this
kind of
table.
where I'm at too.
Oh, boy.
Are you
Okay.
done?
No, the last thing is just to let you know that our office has identified 11 potential grant possibilities. We have 16 grants that are out there pending right now. We have 27 grants that we are actively engaged in, and one that has been completed, and that was the Village of Waverly, Mildred Faulkner Truman, Waverly Glen Park grant.
Okay.
That's it.
Thank you, Leanne. That was fabulous. Appreciate it. No, you had a lot of stuff, I know. All right.
Wait, I just need to, okay, reduce workforce. Lounsbury Industrial Hub,
Wyman?
on the Lounsbury Industrial Hub, the developer is putting together a proposal. We thought we were gonna have it for this month, but they do a little tweaking that they need to do. That'll come in at the November meeting. A reminder, oh, you're gonna cover the OG2, never mind. And broadband, looking at a potential project in the town of Nichols within the opportunity zone. We have now an investor on board, Southern Tier Network, an internet service provider. And if we get ARPA money, then maybe some money there to run fiber to the home to potentially 350 identified unserved or underserved homes within the town of Nichols opportunity zone. So that's moving right along. So we're getting close on that as well.
That is, okay, good to know.
Because then you're gonna get pushback about that too. Because
John?
why is Nichols getting this and Richards not?
Yeah,
Is it ready?
so, yeah.
I'm just telling you, I've already heard about it.
Yep, so the opportunity zone, Spencer and Nichols Tioga. And our broadband is specifically designated for ARPA money. And so with the combination of investors interested in the opportunity zone, putting that money out there, so they'll put some money in, coupled with this money, and we have an interested internet service provider. It just all is coming together for there.
Okay.
If it works out and we don't actually need 750,000 in the town of Nichols, certainly we would use it in other areas.
The other thing is,
Berkshire.
the federal government is coming forth with money separate from this.
Yes,
And my argument is, I don't want to spend all of our money on doing that when they're coming.
that money is going to require a match. So it would be
The
good.
750.
The federal government money will require a match. And if we have the
Well,
opportunity.
keep that to yourself until we get this other stuff taken care of.
But the 750 could be the match. That's what I'm saying.
Oh,
That's how
oh,
you
oh.
put it all together.
Yeah.
We need that match money.
Oh, yeah, I know, that's good.
Well,
But
if I was waiting on high-speed internet, I certainly would be afraid to be sitting around waiting for the state to act.
yeah, well,
Charge forward, Leanne, head down, hit the wall, let's get her done.
Okey dokey. That's all I
Then the
have.
state will come in anyway.
Okay, thanks.
When's hopefully gonna be up for reelection?
Okay, next year.
Next year. Yeah, so the state will come forth with money next year.
Christine, you're up.
Thank you. So regarding Wego Gardens 2, Aqua Store is working on the water tank portion. We received, like I mentioned earlier, a 305,000 plus invoice from them. Regarding the Suez inspection fees, we've stayed on them and finally received all inspection reports to date, totaling a little over 117 hours. The inspector has worked on the Owego Gardens 2 project. He's paid $90 an hour, so to date, $10,544 he has earned by his inspection, which is much less than what we paid up front. So perhaps we will get a refund in the end. They're anticipating the tank being in service November 26th at this time.
We need $300,000, but we're only gonna spend 10 of it. God. All right, sorry.
No, but you're right. And I lost my train of thought there, but
You got her off.
yeah, overall, Fagan's done their part regarding the electric SCADA and generator specs for that work. It's in Suez's court and they are anticipating it to be moving well. So construction complete by the end of the year, hopefully.
They still haven't told us how much that's gonna cost.
How much what?
How that's gonna cost, isn't that that's what we're still missing?
We're still missing the total fees for all three.
It's a reminder that will result in a revised developer agreement from Suez once we know those numbers.
Any questions?
No.
Okay. So
Lots of hours.
I'm passing around some street deck information on a shovel-ready loan. So Leanne suggested we consider a street deck shovel-ready loan program to support our build out of the industrial hub infrastructure out in Lounsbury. So put together this brief overview of what that would mean for us should we proceed. Their interest rate, 75% of prime, so it's currently 2.44%. They offer 15-year loan terms. They would fund up to 50% of our total project cost, but right now all they have in the fund available is $375,000. So I just ran this scenario. If we took out the street deck loan for $375,000, we would still have 1.4+ million in infrastructure build out costs to pay in cash. And the total interest over the 15-year term would be $73,178. The IDA would be, paying an interest. So does anybody have an interest in pursuing this program?
And this is the buildings that we're talking about.
Yes, so the spec industrial, light industrial buildings,
Mhm.
it looks at this time like
This
the
is the-
developers,
Phase 1, 2, 3, 4
Yep.
things.
so the developer's gonna build the building, but the IDA was going to build out the infrastructure. If you recall, Jason gave you, as Christine has broken down here, the anticipated cost to do so by phase. So really you could do build out of phase 1 and 2 using these loan funds in lieu of just taking IDA money to put out there. And then the thinking being, once the buildings are built and we start getting the repayment from the developer in whatever way that shakes out, we're not sure yet, we could ultimately take that money and pay the loan funds back if you should choose to do that. So it's just, it's an option. You don't have to decide anything about it tonight. We'll know better if it's a good option, depending on what proposal comes back from the developer on lease agreement or whatever it is, that we can kind of work that into the scenario. But I just wanted to let you know that this is a possibility. If you didn't want to take cash out and do it, here's a possibility.
Okay, anytime there's $73,000 in interest, I'd just soon use cash.
Well, that's over 15 years.
Because your cash,
But you're not gonna
but
have
your
it for
cash
15
is not gonna
years.
earn $73,000 in interest in 15 years in the
But this is-
vehicles we use.
But I wouldn't anticipate that you would have that out there for 15 years.
Okay, that's an option.
So what you're saying is we pay it off early.
Yeah.
And it only costs us 72,000.
That's right. You got it, Chase.
I'll see if I worded it that way. Should have been
There you
fine.
go.
Let's see where I stand.
We'll have more. We'll be able to put more of a scenario together for you, but I just wanted to let you know that this is out there. It's a
Yep, it's
possibility.
one of the options. I'm sure there's gonna be more before this all goes down, I would imagine,
Options for funding.
for all kinds of stuff.
We tried to pursue some Build Back Better grant funding for this, but
We'll see. there.
I don't think.
Right there.
Okay, so
Here we are.
moving on, I didn't print out I can't access any of my files today. I apologize for that. But included here, Department of Labor notice, I'll email it to everybody and you, Joe. It's saying that starting at certain date, all projects will be required to pay
Prevailing wage.
prevailing
Things
wage.
things are getting more expensive.
Hmm.
Not everything.
So I'll
If there
send
was
that
any
out to you all.
project $5 million or more with 30% or higher subsidy,
Hey, that sounds just like it.
No kidding.
getting more expensive.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what this is.
Yeah, because, and it's ridiculous.
It's the
Well, I
costs
mean, it's
associated with the
Water
E-site
Tank,
water
east
tank
side,
project.
water tank.
Okay.
It's already so hard to get
Suez,
projects
I
that work
like to call them
conventional.
sewer.
You're gonna throw that, I mean, that's a lot. of potential
Oh, is that the
conventional-
cost
relatively
spreadsheet?
conventional
Thank you.
projects that are gonna have huge
I don't have anything. Okay. All right, so moving forward to committee updates. The Finance Committee is recommending the board approve the IDA budget as proposed, seeking a motion to approve.
I'll make that motion.
Second, please.
The budget,
Thank you.
the proposed budget.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Owego Gardens 2 and Robinson still submitting their sales tax exemption updates. You know, we're monitoring, making sure they don't take any excess. School and village pilot payments were received and will be dispersed within a week. The Sunny's Valley Solar, clearly we are not passing a resolution tonight and we'll continue considering that. What I'm not able to show you on the board, and thankfully I printed off, is this. I will pass around. It's an amended resolution for the Ithaca or the INHS Temple and Liberty Street pilot agreement that we already passed. This is just adjusting their total number of units from 45 to 46, and all else remains exactly the same.
45 to 46 units. We have to do this again.
So in order for the paperwork to be just right, seeking a motion to approve this revised resolution of approval.
So moved.
Thank you. How about a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
You want to see the?
Opposed?
Or depending on.
It's a one bedroom, small closet.
Thank you so much.
Excited.
So,
Sign out front with a masher sign.
and we are seeking one more resolution today, which I'll pass around. It is approving, authorizing the IDA to apply to the New York State Division of Homeland Security and Emergency Services for a planning grant for the Richford Railroad crossing. We've been anticipating applying for this grant for many months. We've been telling you about it, but now we're finally ready to apply on November 10th and seeking permission, please.
Motion please to approve the resolution authorizing the grant application.
That motion.
Thank you. How about a second?
Second.
All in favor? Opposed?
Thanks so much. That's all I have for the regular agenda today.
Motion to move into executive session, please.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
you.
I gotta go.
I have a
Oh, you're right. You
motion
said
to-
6 o'clock. I'm
Yeah, I know.
sorry.
I gotta go.
Let me get us off of YouTube.
We won't
Anything
decide
in
anything
executive
too
that I need to
important.
know about?
No.
No big deal. Okay.
Well, no.
It's your pleasure to see me.
I
was just thinking that.
Have a good night, Tracy.
Thank you. See y'all later. Yeah, Trace.